Most people think scalable systems start with Kubernetes, microservices, Kafka, Redis, and hundreds of servers. And that's not how real systems evolve. Real systems usually start very small, sometimes just one backend server, one database, that's it. And then slowly, as users increase, new bottlenecks start appearing, and the architecture evolves step by step. I have personally seen this transition while working in startups that scale over time. In the beginning, systems were extremely simple, but as traffic increased, new problems start appearing one by one. Database bottlenecks, slow APIs, traffic spikes, queue backlogs, and lot of other scaling issues. And slowly, the architecture transformed completely. So in this video, I'll show you how a backend system evolves from one user to thousand to million of users, and by the end you will finally understand why load balancers exist, why Redis become necessary, why queues appear, and why distributed systems even exist. Let's start from day one. Suppose you just built a startup, maybe an e-commerce platform, maybe a social media app. Right now, almost nobody uses your product. Maybe 10 users, maybe 100 users. So your architecture is extremely simple. One backend server, one database, and it's sufficient. Believe me, it's sufficient. The backend handles authentication, business logic, API processing, everything, and the database stores application data. Honestly, at this stage, this is perfectly fine, and this is something many beginners don't understand. You do not need microservices on day one. You do not need Kubernetes on day one. You do not need distributed systems on day one. One common mistake I have seen is people try to build Google scale architecture before getting Google scale traffic, and that creates unnecessary complexity. At the beginning, simplicity is actually a superpower. Now, suppose your application starts growing, more users join, traffic increases. Instead of 100 users, you now have 10,000 users, and suddenly your single server starts struggling. CPU usage increases, memory increases, response times become become slow. Users start complaining. So, what's the first thing companies usually do? They scale vertically, meaning they upgrade the server, more CPU, more RAM, more powerful machine. This is called vertical scaling, and honestly, this works surprisingly well in the beginning because upgrading one server is simple. No distributed complexity, no networking overhead, no synchronization problems. But eventually, there is a limit. You cannot infinitely increase machine size. At some point, one server is simply not enough. So now we move to the next stage. Instead of running just one backend server, we now create multiple backend servers, and now traffic can be shared across machines. But a new problem appears. How does the system decide which server should handle the request? This is where load balancers enter the system. A load balancer sits in front of all backend servers. Its job is simple: distribute incoming traffic intelligently. One request goes to server 1, suppose second request goes to server 2, and this prevents one machine from becoming overloaded. This approach is called horizontal scaling. Instead of increasing the power of one server, we increase the number of servers. And this is how the modern system scales. And this is how Netflix, Amazon, Google, almost everyone uses horizontal scaling, because adding more machines is often easier than endlessly upgrading one giant machine. But here is something interesting. Even after backend scaling, many systems still become slow. Why? Because all backend servers still talk to one database, and eventually the database becomes the bottleneck. This is something I have seen happen many times in production systems. The backend scales first, then suddenly the database starts suffering. Too many reads, too many writes, slow queries, lock contention, connection pool exhaustion. Now engineers start optimizing queries, adding indexes, improve schema design, reducing unnecessary joins. But eventually, another major scaling technique appears: read replicas. Here's the idea: one primary database handles write, multiple replicas databases handle reads, and now read traffic gets distributed, and suddenly performance improves dramatically. But even replicas are not enough forever because databases are expensive and many requests repeatedly fetch the same data. For example, user profiles, popular products, trending posts, configuration data. Why query the database every single time? That is inefficient. So companies introduce cache, usually Redis. Now, before hitting the database, the backend first checks Redis. If data exists in cache, return immediately. It's super fast and return the response in milliseconds. Only if data is not found in cache, then query database. This dramatically reduced database load, and this is why Redis become one of the most important technologies in modern backend system. Now the application becomes even larger, millions of users, and another major problem appears. Some operations are slow, very slow. For example, sending emails, video processing, report generation, notification. If users wait for all the processing, the API becomes painfully slow. So instead of processing everything immediately, the backend pushes task into a queue, maybe Kafka, maybe RabbitMQ. Now the API responds quickly, and background workers process tasks asynchronously. This is a huge shift in architecture because asynchronous systems improve performance, reliability, and scalability. And honestly, once systems become large, queues become almost unavoidable. Now your users are worldwide, India, US, Europe, Australia, and another issue appears, that is latency. Users far away from your servers experience slow loading, especially for static content like images, videos, JavaScript, and CSS files. So companies introduce CDN, Content Delivery Network. A CDN stores copies of static files across the globe. Now the CDN serves content from servers located closer to the user instead of serving everything directly from your main origin server. This massively improves speed and user experience. At this stage, the company becomes huge. Multiple teams exist and one giant backend becomes difficult to manage. Now companies slowly split the monolith into services: authentication service, payment service, notification service, order service, recommendation service. This is microservices architecture. But here's the important lesson: microservices are usually not the starting point. They appear later, after scaling problems, after organizational growth, after team complexity increases. When systems become massive, another reality appears. Failures become normal, servers crash, databases fail, queues lag, caches go down, networks fail, and this is where observability becomes critical. Monitoring, logging, distributed tracing, metrics, tools like Prometheus, Grafana, OpenTelemetry suddenly become extremely important because in distributed systems, you cannot fix what you cannot see. So now you finally understood how backend systems actually evolve. Nobody starts with giant distributed systems. Real architectures evolve gradually: one server, then multiple servers, then load balancers, then replicas, then cache, then queues, then CDN, then microservices. System design is basically identifying bottlenecks and solving the next bottleneck. That's it. And in this series, we will now deep dive into every single component individually: load balancers, Redis, Kafka, CDNs, rate limiters, databases, and real world system design interviews. So if you want to truly understand how scalable systems work internally, subscribe this channel, like the videos, because this is just the beginning.